So a guy walks into a bar, orders 10 beers, and just starts chugging them one after another. Bartender's like, wow, you must be in a hurry. Guy's like, yeah, you'd be in a hurry too if you had what I had. Bartender's like, what do you have? Guy's like, $2. Hey kids, Adam here. Welcome to the 1-year anniversary video. About a month or so ago, I posted a couple posts in forums on Facebook and in Discord about, do you have any questions for me? And one of the first questions was why, why, and just because I'm interested. I thought it would be fun to do for the 1-year anniversary of this channel. If anywhere there's questions that people haven't asked that they want to know, and I got a couple good ones. So I decided to do this video also to thank you for 1 year on this channel. Started out just as kind of a whim. It was middle of COVID. It didn't look like there was any end in sight. The indoor soccer season just got canceled for my team, and was looking for some more ways to get engaged with music. The band hadn't practiced in well over a year, and it was just it was depressing. So decided to start the video. I'd done a couple mixing videos, and I'll put a card to the mixing series I did. The camera quality is terrible. I had no idea what I was talking about at the time, not like I'm any better now. But I thought it was a good start to what I was going to do, and I figured if that went well, I'll kind of take the video from, and make a channel out of it and take off from there. Before I start, I want to give special thanks to a couple of people, and if I miss your name here, I am truly sorry. I went through a lot of the comments, and there are some people that I kind of interact with more on a daily basis that I'd like to kind of call out. Mike from Let's Talk About Reaper, put a card up here. Arya from IDDQD Sound, and again, I'll put links in the description for all these, all the people who have channels that I know of. I really appreciate the two of you guys kind of getting me off the ground here. Originally I was thinking of joining Mike on Let's Talk About Reaper, but our styles are so vastly different, and we decided to I decided to do it on my own, and he's done really well on his channel. I'd like to thank Eric for a lot of the bass comments he's been giving me. Bobby, you've been great. The fact you're older than me and still call me dad is pretty amazing. Brent, haven't talked to you in a while. Hope things are going well. Mark, hopefully you don't have to sell all your guitars. I hope you're doing well out there. And Dom, thank you for all the guitar work, and we will finish the song at some point. My good friend Matt out in Syracuse, New York, thank you for putting up for my jokes and commenting here and there. And Brian also, we will get the comedy channel that we're talking about off the ground at some point in both of our lives. Hopefully that point intersects. For now, let's get on to the questions, and we'll see what we have going on here. All right, let's start out with the bass questions first. Amusiel asks, Adam, when did you start playing bass, and who are your biggest influences? Started playing bass in the summer between middle and high school. My dad brought home it was either Precision or a Jazz, I don't even remember, and a method book. And I had no amp, and I was able to figure out, like, if you plug it into like a tape recorder and put some headphones on, you could almost hear what was going on. And I'd played cello since third or fourth grade, so I had almost 5 years of cello experience. I knew how to read bass clef, knew how to read music. I had picked up drums a couple of years prior, so I knew basic rhythms and things. And I went through the book in like an hour. And I remember coming out and saying, hey, you got another book? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, I'm done with this already. And he's like, well, show me. So I played a couple things, and he's like, wow. So he grabbed another book, and I just kind of went from there. I got my first bass shortly after that, and just kind of went on from there. Biggest influence has changed a lot over the years. Starting out, I was a big 80s metalhead. So it was Steve Harris, it was Geezer Butler, it was Geddy Lee, it was John Paul Jones. I listened to a lot of like 80s rock, hard rock, hair metal, which almost didn't even have a bass player in it. But anytime a bass stood out, that was something I got interested in. I got into a lot of like the Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Yngwie Malmsteen, Vinnie Moore, Alex Massey, running out of names, Eric Johnson, all those guys who were like the solo guitarists. And a lot of those guys played bass on their own. They also had, I got into Stu Hamm as bass player early on. Dave LaRue played for a lot of those guys as well with Dixie Dregs and things. And I I'm almost got more into guitarists and drummers than I did to bass, because bass is so overshadowed in that genre. I really didn't get into like jazz funk type stuff until later on in my life. Now I don't really get into like who are my favorite bass players. I really like the guy for New Master Sounds, who I should know his name and I don't. I'm sorry, dude. The Motet. I really like Kung Fu, and a lot of the kind of modern. I don't even want to use the word prog, but like prog funk, if you can even think of it that way. Lettuce, Soul Alive, bands like that are what I'm really kind of digging these days. So biggest influence music-wise growing up was more of the 80s metal stuff. Now it's more of this like funk style. I'd say New Master Sounds is my favorite band right now. And then Arya from IDDQ Sound says, who's your favorite bass player, and who's a bass player everyone worships but you think they're kind of meh? 100% meh bass player is Flea. Not a fan. Don't like the style of music, which is funny because I like funk and I like slap bass. I can't stand the Chili Peppers, and maybe it's just Anthony Kiedis' singing. Don't like them at all. I think Flea is a great bass player and a great technical player. I just don't like any of his lines, his styles, his tones. Just not a fan. Favorite bass player, kind of said in the previous one, went through a number of them, but there's one that I didn't mention in the first question on purpose. Billy Sheehan is going to be my all-time favorite bass player of all time, for all time's sake. Let's get on some of the mixing things. Bad Neighbor Productions says, got a few. How do you get started on the bass? Just answer that. How do you get started in production? How do you get started on Reaper? And have you ever done stand-up? I got this really cool chair. It's a Herman Miller Aeron. I got the extra headrest. So doing stand-up doesn't really make sense to me because I really like sitting down in this comfortable chair. How did I get started on bass? Kind of brought that up before. Just to kind of carry on to that story, when I got into high school, I really wanted to play drums. I played drums every day. I had a drum set that I got. I used my own money to buy some cymbals and things. I really wanted to play drums. I was best at cello, but the high school jazz band didn't have any bass players, so I just kind of got volunteered for it. And throughout my entire 4 years, I was the only bass player in high school. Never really got to play drums, got to play once or twice. And just, it was like, I really wanted to play drums, but I was much better on bass. When I kind of fell out of cello playing, bass just kind of became the number one thing, and that's when I started, working on to be in bands and things like that. How did you get started on production? It was really when we were working on the first song back in 2015, for the song Truth Comes Knockin', for my band Underground Hive song, album Themes from Strange Dreams. I'll put a playlist to the whole album up here. Go listen to it, download it, stream it, whatever. And the guitarist, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he's like, oh yeah, I can mix stuff. And he bought T-Rex, and he's like, oh yeah, use all the presets. And he set all the presets up, and it sounded like garbage. And he's like, well, I know you can do like notching and stuff like that, but I don't know how to do that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to teach myself. I remember my grandpa Tony once said early on that he thought my brother was going to be the actual performing musician. I was going to be more of the production guy. So my brother does have his master's in trumpet performance and does perform in a number of groups in northern Wisconsin. And I've done a lot of things in music, but never professionally. So I guess Grandpa's right there. I took the first 2 courses from Graham Cochran over at Recording Revolution, which was Jumpstart Your Mix and Rethink Mixing. I listened to watched a number of his videos on like the 5 minutes to a better mix. I grabbed this book right here, Mixing Secrets for the Small Studio from Mike Sr. That was highly recommended by a number of people online, and I decided to go for it. And didn't really understand, I thought mixing was like for bass, set this dial to this dial to that, this dial to this. I didn't understand anything going on. So that's really how I got into it. And then over the years, I've just learned more, and I've mixed more, and just learning and teaching myself over the years and getting better and better and better at it. So that's how I got that. How did I get started on Reaper? So when we first started with the band, we were going to do the recordings. Reaper was the cheapest and easiest to use, and it was cross-platform. So one of the guys had a Mac, rest of us had PCs, and we could all use Reaper. We share projects on Dropbox, and it was very easy to transfer over. With all the built-in plugins and things, it was just easy to be able to use on for multiple people. So thank you for that question. Arya from IDDQ Sound asked pretty much the same thing. How do you get started in music and how do you get started mixing? And getting started in music was, both my parents are music professionals and educators. My mom sang in the Milwaukee Symphony Chorus for 40 years. And my dad's a professional trumpet player in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, and both were music educators, since retired, but pretty much like my mom was K through 12 general music, my dad was middle school band. They did pretty much run the gamut of that. Getting started mixing, I did do a little bit of things, and I'll put a card for the Nature bass solo song that I did up here. And I started out in Acid Pro, and didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but I was just kind of building the song. So thank you for that question, Arya. Really appreciate it. Mike asks, do you have any pets? Cut to the footage.
Hello guys, this is Jelly, that's Dragon. Can't have anything with fur, so this is what we have. Can you say hi? No, you're tortoises, you can't talk. No? Not gonna move around or anything? Alright, bye.
Mike also asks, is Reaper your first DAW, or do you have experience with another product before? If you previously used something else, what ultimately led you to Reaper? Before Reaper was Cubase, before Cubase was Sonar, before Sonar was Cakewalk, before Cakewalk was Acid. But I really didn't learn how to mix until Reaper. I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, I remember asking my drummer at the time, Kirk, like, hey dude, can you send me the preset, the screenshot of what your settings were for my bass on this song? Not understanding, like, you can't do that. That just doesn't work. So Reaper, I would consider that my first real DAW. All right, Guy Eastwood with a bass question. Might be because I don't play bass, but my daughter has a Squier MB4 with the skull on it, which I think indicates a different build to non-skull, which I understand to be a reasonable instrument, but it fret buzzes loads. Not attempted to set up on it so far. Was wondering if that's because it's a rubbish bass, because I'm used to lighter stick string guitars, or just need a bit of a setup. Let me answer that first. Get a setup on it. Squier should be fine instruments. I mean, they're not going to be anything. She's not playing Carnegie Hall with it at all, but she should be able to do recordings and gigs on it, no problem. My guess is the neck is bowed this way. So if your strings are here, your neck is here. And your neck is curved. Let's see if I can get this to show up right. If your neck is curved, there's going to be some strings that hit the neck higher than others, and anytime that it does that, everything below it's gonna buzz out. So what I would recommend is having the neck done, having the bridge intonated, make sure the saddles are at the right height, and you should be able to get a decent setup for like $50. It'll be well worth it. If it's not playing well, it should make it play well. If there are issues with it, the person doing the setup should be able to tell you, you know what, this thing, like maybe the truss rod is bent or something really crazy, or there's like 3 bows in it or 2s or whatever. I think getting a setup on it will be done. And then the next question is, if it's rubbish, what makes for a decent spare guitar bass for infrequent use? What's worth looking for a secondhand bargain on? So he's looking for something between like a $300 and $400 new or euro, which is probably $400 to $500 US. Could expect to get for about $100. I would look in the Ibanez sound gear, like the SR300, SR400 range, and your Squiers and your made in Mexico jazz and precision basses. There are a number of other lower end instruments that I haven't played that I just know from name. Dean, Cort. You should be able to find something like that. Gibson, some old things that might work. You could probably go on Sweetwater right now and for less than $300 buy a Ibanez that will be really, really decent for the price. Thanks for the question. Next question is from Riffraff. So this was 9 months ago, and I pulled it off of one of the questions on one of the videos. This was for when I did the walkthrough for the purple bass. I'll put a card for that up here. And he said, hey man, slightly off topic, how's that Lakeland 1 year later? I was thinking about picking one up. Well, the funny thing is, it was only a month after I posted the video that he posted this question. And I said, well, it's only been a month, but now it's been a year. And I'll say it's just as good, if not better, than day one. I brought it to a number of band practices. We started practicing in person back in June. It's heavy, and I've had a number of neck issues. Maybe I'll flash a picture of an x-ray up here or something just for fun. I've had 2 surgeries, and I need a lighter bass, and that's why this blue one is so great here, because it's like half the weight. But I have brought it. Probably will be getting with it as probably the second bass, or maybe different sounds. I want to do some recordings on it, and we'll see what happens there. Definitely recommend this bass, and it just one of the better instruments I've ever played. And then Eric Sampson, who asked a lot of questions early on. Eric, I haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything's going well. Hope you're still out there. He said, would be nice if one day you could make a video to introduce your favorite plugins. I've had that on my list for 9 months since you wrote that question. I haven't gotten around to it. I always thought there was something more important to do at the time, and I will get to that, I promise. I just don't know when. I don't know when, so just stay tuned. And then my good friend Matt, who changes his handle on YouTube every couple months to make some different Simpsons residents, says bass or bass. Now the problem is I belong to both bass and bass groups on Facebook. So when I see something that's bass related and I accidentally mistake it for bass, sometimes I don't know if it's really supposed to be bass or bass. And sometimes, like this video up here, it could be both. So that is it. That's the questions that you guys left me for my 1 year anniversary. I will do these Q&A. I'll post questions on them like every quarter, every 6 months. And if I get questions in, I'll be happy to answer them. I try to answer every question that comes in through comments. And actually, I want to ask you guys a question. How can you be more engaged in the comments? How can you get me more engaged with you to let me know like what you want to see in videos, what you don't like? Like, do you hate the intros and the outros? Do you want more outtakes, which I can't control, but I seem to have plenty of them for every video anyway? Do you want shorter videos? Do you want longer videos? Just looking to get like more questions, more interaction, more feedback. Just want to get to know you guys. In addition to that, take a look at the link below for the unofficial Reaper users group Discord server. Mike started that a while ago. We're having fun on there. There's almost 2,000 users or so at this point, and we're a lot of channels, a lot of discussion going on. If you want like a more immediate answer than what like Facebook or YouTube comment could give. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe. Looking forward to maybe hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. That's kind of my next big milestone here. We should hit 500 by early 2022. And I like doing the little short videos, so look for something special for that. And until next time, have yourselves an amazing week. I'm kind of the opposite of Arya with his is all fluff, or no fluff, all fluff, no info. No, that's not right. No info, all fluff, and I'm kind of the opposite. What is that? Is my camera gonna shut off?